And if you want to learn more about 1 million Cups, and hopefully one day present here, please feel free to follow our community at www.1millioncups.com/Chico. All right, let's get into it. So today again, we'll have our 6-minute presentation. We'll get into our Q&A, and then we'll wrap up from there. All right, without further ado, I'll ring up the presentation for our special guest today, which is Chico Sprouts. Give him snaps, give him some hand.
Snaps and claps, snaps and claps.
Awesome. Get into it, Chico Sprouts.
All right, let's go.
Okay, thank you guys so much for having us. I'm Jack. I'm Chris. And we're here to talk about Chico Sprouts. So we started off in 2024, and that was our slogan, a healthy life, healthy planet. Okay, so firstly, the problem. So in our ideation phase, we went through a lot of different ideas, but we really did want to center around something that was sustainable and something that was actually doing helping people basically. So as you can see, 91% of Americans are not getting enough greens. And on the right, that's an example of, I would just say, the average American diet, perhaps. Definitely not super healthy. So there's a growing market for organic and locally sourced and sustainable food options, and current supply chains are just struggling to meet this. So that is why we decided to grow microgreens. So for our solution, Chico Sprouts wanted to bring fresh, high quality microgreens to the Chico area. And we're doing this through the Chico State Dairy Farm. They have a greenhouse. So that's where this picture is from. That's actually our growing operation right now. And yeah, so microgreens have up to 10 times the standard vegetable because they're so condensed. So because of that, it makes it a lot easier to get your greens for the day. And we also try to keep our pricing as competitive as possible. So yeah, so far, our LLC, our bank account, everything is all set up. We've been making sales, get to that later. We have a product list, and the packaging and labeling was actually ordered last night. So let's talk about sales progress. So I've been working with Fifth Street for a couple of weeks now. We have them on a bi-weekly schedule, so I engage them Tuesday and Thursday. And then Farragut's is a restaurant in Sacramento. We have done one huge order to them, which is 3 big trays, and we're waiting on the next order there. We've also worked with the Chico State Dining Hall and are currently looking to get more clients in downtown Chico.
Yeah, and so when it comes to our farm, as you can see, this looks a little different from the very first picture you saw. We actually went vertical recently within this month. So we bought these racks, and they each fit four trays on each shelf. So that's 16 trays per rack, and then we have 2 racks, so we have 32 tray capacity now, as well as the huge horizontal table you saw in the first slide. And along with this, we also installed the irrigation system, which is really going to help us a lot. It automates our whole watering process. Then along with that, we're also going to install lights this week, which will kind of make our growth a little bit more consistent. We won't have to worry about weather changes and stuff like that in the greenhouse. And so, yeah, it's like a drip system we got set up on a timer. And we also did get a lease extension offer from the school to work in the greenhouse until the end of the summer. We're trying to work on possibly getting that extended further, or working something out with the school, or getting a different space that we can move to at that time. And then we're also getting our USDA approved label. For retail, this is really important for us because we feel like retail is like the next step for us. How we can get a little bit more consistent orders, and we can like really build our inventory to match that. And then moving on to the next slide. Total addressable market. As you guys know, there's a lot of restaurants here in Chico. We've pretty much like kind of addressed 70 restaurants locally that we can target. And there's 6 known local farmers markets that we can also hit. And then there's S&S, Co-op, and Newark. These are 3 places that are really specific for our types of food that we're really going to try to target. And then the microgreens market, it's kind of small, but you can see on this little bar graph here. So as of right now, in this year, the global market is valued at about $245 billion. And that's only supposed to grow by 2029. It should go to 335 billion. Which is a pretty huge jump. We feel like this is a big opportunity not only for us, but for a lot of microgreens growers and a lot of people in that industry. We feel like this is really like a future food, as a lot of people have called it. And yeah, so we feel like it's a huge opportunity for us. And then moving on to the next one, the timeline, just kind of like summarizing what we've done, what we plan to do. We started in January, so not long ago, we finalized our business idea. We had 30 to start with, cut down 29 of them and decided to do microgreens. We formed our class, obviously filed our LLC. We got the space at the Chico State Farm in the greenhouse. And then in February, we started doing farming and outreach, really just doing a bunch of cold calling, showing up to restaurants, shaking hands with managers, chefs, and owners, just trying to get our product out there, handing out a bunch of samples. And then we started obviously doing our first grows, testing stuff out, giving it to friends and family, seeing how they liked it. And then starting our first grows for clients. And then we got our packaging selected, did customer profiles and stuff like that. And then in March so far, we've done a lot in drawing up contracts for our first clients. We've built some really good relationships with chefs already and managers, and we've got some clients on recurring schedules now. And we also want to continue doing education and awareness. This has been a really important thing for us on social media and other platforms, and even just like talking to people in general. We feel like education is a huge thing with microgreens, but not a lot of people are aware of the nutritional value that it has. And by the end of March, we really want to focus pretty much all of our resources on retail. I feel like this is really a huge step for us in kind of, like I said, building some consistency and getting some bigger clients. And then in April, we want to continue to scale. We want to outreach more, especially in Sacramento. We feel like there's a huge market there that we really want to tap into. And then we are going to be in the April Stoble's Farmers Market, as well as the one this month. So if you guys are available March 30th, stop by the Stoble Atrium, check out our product and get some greens. Yeah, and we want to fine tune our automation as well. Yeah, so moving on, we want to just kind of summarize everything we talked about. We went vertical, increased our inventory. That was huge for us. We increased our outreach and engaged a lot more local restaurants. We did our first deliveries. And then some next steps, we kind of want to have our packaging ready, which we actually just figured out last night, like Jack said. And then we really want to hone in on our B2C approach as well. We're going to start doing tabling door to door, make extra sales and get some customer validation. And then really focus on retail.
Being developed still.
Yeah.
Right. Oh. Okay, so perhaps you could tell us when did you start selling? So that they can put that in context of why there's 200 production. So that's like 2 weeks in.
Something like that, we just started selling.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
No.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
When you talk about door to door, do you mean like going to neighborhoods?
Yeah. So, I mean, the main reason we want to do that is just kind of to, I mean, we haven't decided to do that completely because I think tabling might be a little bit better for us. But door to door is an option if we really want to like hone in on our exact target market. So it's kind of something we've been throwing around. Something for others.
We got a question here in the chat. Jason, if you want to go ahead and unmute, or is it in the chat? Okay.
I think Kent was first, but
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead. and I'll
Go
do
ahead,
that.
Kent.
Okay, you guys can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so when you say conventional, does that mean like non-organic or whatever, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So that's going to be like pretty much the cheapest ones you're going to find at the grocery store. It's like the big produce express type stuff that's going to be like just not organic, just a regular microgreens. Even like hydroponic stuff could be found at about that price, which is like grown not in soil. So yeah, so we feel like we have a much better product than that, so we're charging a pretty good price.
Jason, if you want to go ahead, ask your question.
Cool. Yeah, I was curious about, you had mentioned a couple things about customer profiles, and if you can elaborate on what you mean by customer profiles, as well as how that plays into your go-to-market strategy around, you talked about TAM, but then what is your serviceable market? Like, who are you going to actually service to get out to the market in general?
Yeah, of course. So for the customer profiles, honestly, we're still working on them, and the go-to-market strategy is definitely still a work in progress. because of that, we're having a very high churn rate with restaurants. So the restaurants are honestly really bad customers. They are inconsistent. They're always
Are
busy.
they bad or do they have a certain
Way
character?
of doing things.
You know what, let us just say that sounds a lot better. It's a nice euphemism.
Yeah.
Yeah, restaurants have been interesting clients. So we're still working on that, market validation and customer validation. And that's why I totally understand what you mean. I would say that in terms of our SAM, or service addressable market, I think that it looks like when you look at the total market, it's huge. When you look at Chico, that's where we kind of mentioned there's 70 restaurants. There's this many farmers markets. There's this many events where we could sell out. So I think that's, yeah.
So it's a work in progress is your answer to Jason.
So it's a work.
Okay, got it. Okay, go, Ivan.
I got two quick questions. I'd just like to see the stats or the science behind the 10 times benefit more. Cause I've heard like numbers being thrown around and I just haven't seen anything. Or maybe I want even like an actor scientist to tell me like, this is.
And they're scientists.
Somebody, like, this is an
Great scientist.
No,
Brad Pitt says. Eat your microgreens.
When I was having breakfast with him at the hotel, she says. Pronto.
I just want to hear that, not that I don't trust you guys, I just want to hear that from like another source or see maybe like. a
Build the
graph
credibility.
Or something, yeah, like I've heard it and like they're new, so I think I might not be the only one asking that question. It's hard to believe, like they're these tiny little guys, but they're 10 times more. That's like a no-brainer to buy those instead. Another thing I think would be cool is, have you guys seen how Head Street uses your product? Like, do they garnish it with the meat yet, or do they just kind of have it in there?
So that's something we definitely still need to ask them is, I think, take some pictures of it.
Yeah.
That'd be great to see. And then we'll just go there, you know, and probably, just take order it.
Order a steak and see if it comes.
Or just, ask them how they use it and
Yeah.
just ask to take a picture or something real quick, just for you guys. And then it'd be sweet if they even put it on the menu or wherever, not just Fifth Street, but wherever you guys sold it to see how they use it now.
Microgreens provided by.
Yeah, if it says microgreens like on the menu.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Another question on that.
Do you have another question, Jason?
Yeah, I was curious, something that was just said about restaurants maybe being hard to work with or bad, clients. Is it all restaurants or is it a specific? So when you talk about, so how you're going to focus, I'm curious if, what type of restaurants are you finding are bad, or is it like, gyms that are sort of like foods that might be more like willing to take on this, because it sounds like it's much more of a health food than it is sort of a culinary, I guess. I don't know like what the difference is between how a chef would use this food, say, versus a health food restaurant. Do you have a breakdown of that, or is it all restaurants in general?
Well, kind of what we found is, I think it's specifically kind of in Chico. There is a market for like high-end restaurants that are going to use it for their garnishes. And it is a little bit more on the expensive side when it comes to produce. So it is something that is kind of like a specialty for restaurants. Most restaurants that we've been kind of like encountering are kind of using it as like it's kind of an afterthought. It's like okay, it makes it look good and it has a little bit of taste to it. So it's definitely improving the quality of their food, but it's not like the centerpiece of what they're doing. And kind of the space that we're more trying to move into is something where it's like really vital to what they're serving. So like juice bars, places where they're making salads and including it, even like putting it in sandwiches. So kind of just more like health conscious places. Because that is an important distinction, is like some places are really just focused on the culinary aspects. But we want to focus a little bit more going forward on the places that are focusing on the health aspects. Because we feel like that's something that's a little bit like underutilized with microgreens today. So yeah, I would say there's a good amount of restaurants in Chico that just aren't willing to spend that extra money. And I think we either need to go to a different market to find more restaurants like the ones we found here that are willing to do that, or we need to kind of shift a little bit to do more health conscious restaurants and stores and stuff like that.
Yeah, do you know if places like Jamba Juice, and I know that's not totally health food, but I know, do they use stuff like these power greens?
Not that we've seen. We think like cold press juiceries are a little bit of a better option because I think the whole benefit of like, I'm not sure if you know like cold press juicing is, but
Yeah.
it's like a little bit better in like preserving like the nutrients in the vegetables that they're juicing. So I think those places are a little bit more inclined to use things like
Like Live
microgreens.
Life.
Yeah, like Live Life juice and stuff like that. So I'm not sure like if there's like smaller versions of Jamba Juice, then we'll definitely approach them, like especially in Sacramento because there's a lot of places like that. We have reached out to a couple of those, but yeah.
Plant-based food places are popping up too.
Yeah, for the most part, it's a lot of like plant-based places, vegan, or like even like gluten-free places. We kind of have a lot more like vegetables and nutritious stuff on their menus, having like juice bars and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a good point.
Have you reached out to flavors?
Yeah, we're in contact with a couple of favorites.
Kent asks, is there a trademark issue with the supermarket chain? Healthy grocery, organic supplements.
We haven't run into that yet. I think I don't think it should be a problem.
No.
Haven't run into it. But you did.
It's a fair question because it came up yesterday, actually.
All right. Sure, you still got a question?
Oh yeah, I was gonna type it. Do you guys feel like B2B is more profitable and lucrative, or do you feel like B2C, you may have a better outcome if you're selling directly to the customer at, say, farmers markets, and you would be able to charge the price um, that you thought was best just because you are growing it in organic soil?
Yeah, of course. So with B2B, the margins are lower, but they're buying more. With that being said, they've also not been the best customers so far in our experience. We have not really tried B2C yet. We've had little orders here and there, but they've not been enough to really see it on a big scale. So my answer to that question is, as of now, I think that B2B, it definitely could be more consistent. When you have a restaurant on a schedule, I'm gonna show up on Tuesday, I'm gonna show up on Thursday, you're gonna buy a half pound of microgreens from me at this price. That works. But getting to that point with lots of restaurants seems to be challenging. So I think that B2C could also be a better way, especially when we're kind of utilizing this B2B 2C model where we're selling almost wholesale to SNS, the co-op. Essentially, future we're working on that right now. So when we're getting into restaurants like that, that's where I think we're going to really start becoming successful. That's much more consistent stream of revenue, and that's going to be a lot better for us.
Oh, that's good. I was also gonna say you guys should check out the Commons, Black Kettle. It's like a food truck. And then Fresh Twisted Cafe because they do fresh smoothies. And so there's a lot of different businesses that utilize microgreens in Chico. I guess it's just going to be a matter of targeting them. But I know a lot of people who go to farmers market also buy microgreens and use them regularly. So that's why I wanted to ask about your B2C and kind of what you guys plan to do since market is going to be picking up here soon.
Yeah, as far as the farmers market goes, we've had a little bit of trouble getting into the certified one. From what we've seen is it's a pretty political process and they really prioritize the people that they already have. So as far as we've seen, like they do have like one, maybe two microgreens vendors, and they're like, they're hesitant to let us in because they don't want competition for them. So that's been a little bit of an issue for us, but we are in the process of applying for the Thursday night market, which is a completely different thing, as well as the lunar market. And we are already, we had our spot certified in the Stoble farmers market. So a little bit smaller, but we're getting our name out there, getting some product, meeting some people. But yeah, we definitely would love to get into the certified farmers market. It's just kind of a process. And they said we would have to start in the Wednesday night market as well for like 12 weeks before we can go to Saturday. So it is definitely a long process. But that is something that we've always wanted to do. But yeah.
Okay.
I did want to ask, so what is your differentiator? Like, what makes you different from other microgreen companies that are out there on the market?
Yeah, so for, firstly, we're organic. I think that has to be our biggest, kind of differentiating point, that we have, is that a lot of other microgreens are not certified organic, and we are.
Certified
So
organic.
that is our biggest, differentiator. And then also.
What does that mean to be certified organic?
So that means that our greenhouse has been inspected by someone and certified it.
Okay.
So that is essentially a huge advantage, when other microgreens have not done that. And I would also say, obviously, we're growing in soil, which is something that some places are not doing, that they're trying to do with water. So that's not. So,
I mean, yeah, we also see some opportunities in just simple stuff. Like, we think a lot of people aren't really selling it in the way that they should be selling it in the health aspects. And we see like the marketing and branding is like really bad in a lot of the local places. So we feel like we can kind of like differentiate ourselves even just based on like the aesthetics and like the appeal, like creating different unique types of blends that like kind of market to type of people, like an athlete blend that has more protein and nutrients. Maybe no cheat sheets in there for that. And then like different things like the deluxe blend, even like blends for specific types of food, like taco blend, like burger blend, stuff like that. So we feel like we can even just do simple stuff like that and really like stand out in a local store.
Okay.
But yeah.
I was just thinking about the California Nut Festival that's coming up on the April. You can be a vendor there. Yes, the California Nut Festival. It's actually a foodie-ish event because they have chef demonstrations there. That might be a good way to test a table there. I'm not sure what the vendor amount is.
Yeah.
If they per table, but that might be.
Is it in
I would say out of everything that happens, I've been to it many times and it's a nice event. It's at Magic Ranch.
Okay.
Here in Fort Durham, yeah. Anyway, just a thought, that might be a good way to test that. Kind of.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That took me a minute to get.
Yeah, it's like on 420.
Oh, how funny.
I don't know, I think I might, maybe a little bit later, but anyway, look it up. We'll put that in a list of things to look into. It's a very good idea. Yeah, I've been to it before too. It's probably been there once.
Usually crazy like the fair, but you know, what
I think we have another question. Jason, you got another question for us? For the group?
Yeah, I'm curious, how long does it take to grow a tray? And then what is the shelf life of a tray?
Yeah, so it's typically takes about 7 to 14 days. It depends on the variety. The main ones we've been focusing on are radishes. And those are literally seven, maybe 9 days. So it's literally like a week and you have a tray of radishes ready. And the shelf life is typically anywhere from like 5 to 10 days. So it's not bad if you keep it in the refrigerator and everything, you don't like it out for like 4 hours. So kind of stuff like that. We've been working on some techniques to kind of like improve the shelf life even more. Because there's some things you can do like in the growing process and in the packaging process that'll improve the shelf life. So that's something we've definitely been trying to like fine tune a little bit. Because it's something that we've seen is very important to a lot of our like restaurant chefs and stuff like that. But yeah.
Kent asks, where's the Stoble Farmers Market? Do you guys know?
It's at Stoble. Yeah, it's at Stoble in the little atrium they have there. So yeah, you can just show up. We'll get you some microgreens.
Stoble is a local coffee.
Yeah,
Is it upstairs? Is that where the atrium is?
I think it's downstairs in the
Downstairs.
Okay, it's in the way.
On the work,
Yeah,
the workspace area.
yeah, like the workspace
downstairs.
area. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty small event, but it should be a pretty cool little thing. A lot
A
of people.
great way to test, you know,
Yeah.
put your foot in the,
Definitely.
toe in the mark in the water.
Yeah.
There's something,
With 30th?
Saturday.
Yeah.
March 30th.
Yeah, it should be, I think, 10 a.m. to 1. I can verify that.
Cool.
So, I do think your guys' logo are really cool, like for Microgreens, the other logo that seems to be really plain.
Yeah.
I was just looking one, I took a picture of, and I thought they were all different companies, but they're the same company with different colors for different type of microgreen they use. It's called Banner Mountain Sprouts. You guys heard of
Yeah,
it?
I think we've heard of it. I think they do mostly sprouts though.
Okay.
Like alfalfa sprouts.
They, I see a little bit of everything, yeah, I see alfalfa, zesty, broccoli, clover, sunflower green,
Yeah.
but yeah, it looks pretty boring, like the logo.
Yeah.
I think you guys would stand out like that,
Yeah.
just blast it, and then maybe like, I just think like if you guys have like your sprouts, and then maybe like see through behind it, like certain aspects transparent with your logo still.
Okay.
I think that could be cool and stand out. And as far as their pricing, they're doing $2.99.
Yeah.
For 4 ounces.
4 ounces.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're probably not
Because they're-
certified organic and,
They're very different.
And sprouts sell for a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
They're not quite the same
Correct.
thing. I think those are harvested a little bit later than microgreens.
Mhm.
So they're not quite as nutrient dense. And I don't think it even includes like the whole plant.
Okay,
So I think it's a little bit different.
definitely mention that in the packaging or something.
Yeah.
So people aren't like, why is that one?
Yeah. That's a good idea, yeah.
And then you guys should put, like, to test more of the consumers, like on Instagram posts, like, hey, we're selling now,
Definitely.
reach out. So people could even buy from there too, so.
Yeah.
Like on all the platforms.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're not doing like online sales yet, so like that's something that we're thinking about in the future, but yeah, we're definitely gonna like put out posts when we get into retail, and okay, we check out and be like, come by, like, this deal going on, like, we have this product right now. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
Are they
then-
shippable? Which how would you?
that's
what
the
I mean,
thing that's a little difficult is like the
Yeah.
shampoo is
The only thing that's shippable is like powder and freeze-dried packaging.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we can't really do online sales,
Right.
but
So with that being said, what are some of the next steps for you guys?
So right now, getting into retail has to be the number one step. That's the biggest step moving forward. Once we accomplish that, I think everything will definitely get significantly easier in terms of like consistent, fulfillable market demand. Like we just need consistency from our clients. So I think that getting into retail, biggest next step. Other than that, a ton of restaurants switch to their spring menu. That's what they call it. So once they do that, then they're going to be using a lot more microgreens, at least from our market validation there. So I think that when they switch to that, that's going to be, I would say, late March. It's been so rainy, which is not helping us. So late March, we switched. They switched their menus. We get back in there. They say yes, we want a bunch of microgreens, and then I don't think it would be challenging to have at least 10 restaurants on the same type of schedule that we have now with Fifth Street. And that will make them a much better customer and probably worthwhile.
I think you could guys promote the ones that you're already using. I think you can like put a video of them putting it on the soup or, you know.
Yeah.
so it's part of your storytelling strategy.
Yeah.
So
And then
I'll
other
go back to
restaurants
that
see that and go,
topic
what?
that's
Yeah.
being ignored.
So do we have any advice for Chico Sprouts? Anyone on the Zoom?
Lot.
I was,
Any additional comments?
yeah, perfect.
Before we wrap up.
One more question for yourselves in 5 years
I see ourselves
in the business.
doing something, I think doing something more innovative. I think microgreens is a great market, but I think in order to scale in the way that we want to scale, I think we need to do a different aspect of the business. I think shifting to things that are a little bit more innovative, like you said earlier, like powders, type of supplements that we can make, like dehydrating them. Yeah, possibly drinks, even like opening up some type of place where we could sell all microgreen products, like just all things that include microgreens. So I think something like that could like really help us scale a lot more.
Jason, I think you're about, oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna say something.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask, or really just, I'm hearing like there's a lot of directions. I would consider narrowing some of those. And understanding what your, primarily what you think your beachhead is. You know, what is that first market you want to tackle or your first demographic? And then I hear it like validate it and then pivot, validate and pivot and stick with it. You know, if it works, then continue pressing. The other aspect is like your brand story. You know, that compelling story of why this is good, what's unique about your offering or your approach. And even though that maybe the end product is the same, it's about maybe how you do it. And that is different than other people. And so yeah, I think those are the areas, because that I think will help you suss out your path to profitability. But those are I think some questions that I would have around what does that look like going forward, and what are your clear next steps for that directional, like, are you a supplier? Are you, a B2C, B2B? Are you both? But I think identifying what that initial market is will be really helpful so you can take your energy and your focus and push it toward that, because when you diverge too much, it's just it'll feel like not a whole lot's getting done in a short amount of time.
Okay. Thank you so much for the feedback.
Also, lastly, when you're doing a presentation like this, it might help to set the stage for people to understand that you guys just started like 4 weeks ago. So, putting together kind of their manufacturing flow and their SOPs and their traceability and starting to test those markets. They have a lot more work to do, but all the advice I've gotten today is perfect.
Thank you guys so much.
Also Kent says maybe use a silent running type of image for marketing, and he also added a link in there, so I'll try to get that to you guys as well.
Thank you.
Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you, Chico Sprouts. Great job, fellas. Great job. So just a few ending words. As the host of today's presentation, as well as Eva Shepard, our chapter lead. Thank you to us.
To all of us.
Also a shout out to our sponsors. We got GrowTech, Chico Start, Global Entrepreneur Network, Build with Ferguson, SBDC, and Startup Grind. Next couple weeks and next couple months, we have the Supplier Diversity Symposium, which is March 14th, 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a virtual webinar and it is free. Feel free to check that out. Also, Ridge Start is putting on a lunch and learn where you can Glen Grove, sorry. It's putting on lunch and learn where you can learn about identify common fraud and security risks for small businesses, presented by Tri-County Bank. So if you want to learn more about safe banking, email practices, most common scams and attacks, feel free to pull up to that March 18th at 12 p.m. at Glen Grove's Business and Employment Center. Also, the 2024 Strategic Innovation Workshop sessions will be coming up not too far from now, but it'll be April 10th from 1 to 5 p.m. So you'll have opportunity to get some wisdom from a CFO, as well as kind of learn how to leverage AI in your business. And afterwards, it'll be a hangout and time to network. Of course, feel free to sign up for our Chico Start newsletter at chicostart.com. And every Wednesday, we will have these 1 million cups, so be on the lookout for the next one. And again, just a quick quote before we head out of here is, success is not about being brave or smart. It's about being resourceful. So we just always want to keep that in mind. And I think as you fellas know, just with the opportunity and being the third cohort of, the third startup cohort, how important having resources are, especially when you want to tackle entrepreneurship. So again, thank you guys for this morning. We appreciate your presence, and yeah, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right,
you.
everybody have a good week.
Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.